All right, all right, all right. Are we live? Yo, yo, yo. Tell me what you know. Welcome to the Sunshine Show. Woo! You guys, girls, I have such an amazing, phenomenal guest in the house for you tonight, this afternoon, this morning, wherever in the world you may roam, because that's right, the Sunshine Show is worldwide. I appreciate all of you for hanging out with us tonight. This show has been brought to you by Bass Players United and Sunshine and the Bass Kids. The funny thing about live podcasts is live. So we are live now, and I'm so excited to bring on the most fabulous, the most phenomenal, the most amazing, the most Bowie of them all, Kello Gonzalez in the house. What's up, my
Hello.
man? How
Hello,
you
Sunshine.
doing?
Doing good, thank you. A little bit late, but we made it.
Hey, better late than never. Lord knows I've rescheduled you so many times, and you are so humble and kind. And I just thank you so much for being flexible with me.
No, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Gayo, it's been about a year since we caught up last. I'm so excited to hear all the amazing projects that you've been working on. For the people at home who may not know who you are, the very few, would you please give us a brief introduction?
Yes, so Kello Gonzalez from Mexico. Um, I live in Guadalajara. I play a lot of bass, and I've some people may know me from my YouTube channel, which I need to go back and put up some new stuff. I have several bands, right? One of them is Parasite, Nata, and the newest thing, um, it's this, right? So I have a new solo, my first solo album that I released about 2 months ago, and I'm very excited about that one. You know,
I've been listening to it a lot, preparing for this interview, and I've got to say, you literally, it's phenomenal. It is
thank
like
you very
next
much.
level work.
Thank you. And well, that's it, right? So I like bass. I play a lot of bass, and if I could, I would eat, sleep with my basses, but I'm not allowed to.
I feel like maybe you kind of do. I feel like maybe
Well,
you
next
might have
door.
you
I'm
might have
next door.
slept you might have slept with a bass or two in your life. I don't know. Okay. Oh, we don't judge here on the Sunshine Show.
I don't know. Could be.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, I mean, I'm just going to start this off the way that we normally do. How did you first become interested in playing the bass? I know we went over this last time, but I want a little
Yeah.
refresher.
I always call it a case of serendipity. Because back in middle school, my best friends, right? So they were a guitar player and a drummer. So so the next is history, right? I mean, they needed a bass player. So and the funny thing is, and I always tell this story is, I became a bass player thanks to the album that has the most missing bass mixed, which is Unjustice for All from Metallica, right?
Okay.
So that's the one that the album that made me uh, want to become a bass player. I thought what I was listening to, I mean, all that really low end from the rhythm guitar. I mean, there was no bass, but I thought that was bass, so that's what I wanted to do. I stood corrected pretty quick, you know, but that's how it started, you know.
Now, on that particular album, is that Cliff Burton? Cliff
No,
Burton and a mix?
that's actually the first full length album with Jason,
Oh, okay, got
right?
you.
But as you mentioned that, what I did is I started there, but immediately went back, and I remember. I mean, it's a while ago, right? So someone gave me. I don't think it was even a VHS. I think it was a beta, you know, a beta videotape with the Cliff and Maw home tape,
Okay.
right? And I remember I'd be at my room just watching that, and I would go like, "That's what I want to do." I want to headbang. solo, just distortion and do all that. I mean, back then I couldn't put a name on whatever he was doing, right? But
Sure.
I said that's what I want to do. That was my role model when I started. So it definitely, I mean, seeing him, and back then we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have a lot of stuff. So for me, having access to a visual recording of what I wanted was crucial. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So and headbanging I feel is just like a part of like it looks so cool, right? So you automatically want to start doing that. And then as we get older, our necks start hurting, and it's not always like the best thing to do. However,
I,
when you're young, you don't know.
I know, and I forget about it. I mean, I remember that before I go on stage. I go on stage and I forget about it. I get off stage, and then my body reminds me that that was not the most smart thing to do. But I mean, the body does what it wants to do. So I mean, and music moves you, and you know
Absolutely,
things
absolutely.
happen.
So I want to talk a little bit about the preparation of your new album that you just released. How long did it take you? I feel like that was this like a couple of years in the process, or was it pretty easy?
Well, it's the way I call this. This is my base history, right? Because it's probably around 23 years in the making.
Oh,
Um, I didn't really start. I mean, I decided to do a solo album back in last May, so a year ago. So a year ago, I decided I wanted to do it. I mean, it was just a thought, right, to do it before then. And when I say this is 23 years in the making, is that I have song ideas, full songs, snippets, riffs that I took from throughout 23 years, right?
wow.
And the way that it worked out is that I've always been focusing my creativity into the bands I've been in, right? So every riff, every song, any idea goes there to whatever project I'm in at the moment. And things that didn't fit those, I mean, whatever we thought would be ideal songs for those bands just got stored away, right? Or didn't quite gel, and just, I mean, so it started piling up a lot of ideas, right? And
Sure.
and back when we were all in lockdown, that's when I got the first thought of probably now it's the time to start thinking about it. But it took me a while to kind of realize if anyone would be interested in a Kello solo album. But in the end, what made me decide to do it is I said, you know what, that's not for that. This is for me. It's an album that I'm doing for myself. It's like the bucket list. I mean, for me,
Sure.
it's not write a book. I mean, I've done a lot of albums, not with my name, but I've done a lot of albums, and it's interesting because I don't know if this is like the 15th or 20th album that I released, but this
Oh,
is
wow.
this is the first time that I feel anxious about the release of it. It's probably because my name is on it, right? So the pressure's on me. I mean, but in the end, I decided again to focus it on what would KU wanna hear of in regards to a solo album of a bass player. So the first thing that I definitely didn't want to do is and it's not that I don't like that, but I said, you know what? I want this to be a song-driven album. I don't want it to be an album full of bass solos. I don't want it to be. I mean, it does have a lot of bass solos, but it's within the context of the song, not because I want to have a just an all bass album. I wanted it to be a collaborative effort, and in that regard, what I did is I assembled like dream teams per song,
Okay.
like either friends of mine, idols of mine. And it was funny because, here is very common that when you meet someone, I mean, you say, one day we'll do something, and that's very common, right? Amongst musicians, right? One day we need to do something.
One day.
One day. And so that was that was the day, because that was the perfect excuse for all those friends of mine that I said one day we'll do something. Well, now I have something for you to do with me, right? So I basically took or assembled 10 ideas, and I started kind of creating the mixing pot of uh, guests, musicians, and that's how it started. So I recorded the bass for all 10 songs, and I started sending them the music, and I started getting things back. And the first challenge that I bumped into is, okay, I recorded bass here. I mean, you're seeing, and this is where I record bass, right? So I
Okay.
recorded my bass here, but everyone else, I mean, recorded however and whatever and in any way they know how to record their stuff. So it's not like I went into a studio to record everyone.
Got you. Okay.
So when I went into mixing, I was like, okay, I need to. The challenge is this needs to sound like an album. I don't want it to sound like a mashup of sounds, right? I mean, so I mean, the engineer that I worked with, Aldo Munoz, here in Guadalajara, he's a great guy, and I did it with them because I've recorded. Well, I mixed and mastered most of my Parasite albums, and he knows how to get my bass sounding as I want it.
Okay.
And since it's my album, that's the first thing that I want to make sure what's going to be sounding good, right?
Sure, of
so,
course.
so that's how it went. And the reality is that by December, I think I had like eight out of 10 songs ready.
Oh, wow.
So it went very, very smoothly and quickly. I mean, in comparison to a lot of all different albums that I've done, it was lightning fast, you know.
Amazing. So, how did you make it all work? Did you just send like your ideas to your team of people that you picked for that particular song and then they just elaborated from there? Or it seems
Some
like quite
songs
the task.
it is, and now I didn't realize this until the album was done, and I think if I would have thought about it, I wouldn't have done it so good, from a decision making perspective, because I realized that most of the people that I invited are either producers or um, have a lot of experience working on studios, and so they know their stuff. They know they're I mean, they're good at what they do.
Sure.
So so as I sent the ideas, I gave them guidelines, but the reality is I wanted this to be a remote collaborative effort. So I wanted to make sure that even though I did have ideas on how I wanted things done, and some songs were more mature than others in regards to the arrangement. So I left the door open to whatever ideas they had, or anything they wanted to do with it. They were welcome, right?
Okay.
So that was part of it, and I think in all instances I was happily surprised by the result. You know.
I mean, it's phenomenal. Can you give us a couple of the guests, the bands that performed?
Yes. So I mean, it's mostly, if not all, Mexican musicians, right? So in this case, what I did is, and I'll start probably with my idols, right? Because growing up listening to their bands, for me that was very important. And as I've been working on the industry and meeting musicians, working with different groups, I can call them now my friends, right? So I have a song with, there's a very, very big Mexican band called Resorte, which is probably, I mean, it'll be like a Rage Against the Machine, right? It'll be our Mexican Rage Against the Machine. The drummer is on one of my songs, right?
Ooh.
There's another great drummer that I admire a lot. Um, there's a Mexican band called Phobia,
Okay.
right? They're also big. And this drummer called Chiquis Amaro, he recorded, I think, two of my favorite albums from them. It's called Leche and Amor Chiquito. So he's drumming on one of them. And then I have another guitar player, Antonio Ruiz. He's from a band called Coda and Cubo. He plays guitar in that same song. So it's I mean, for some of you, you may not be familiar with the names, but they're big names in Mexico, right? And from the rock scene, mostly from the '90s, because that's when I would listen to a lot of those albums. And for me, I mean, if I were to tell the '90s Kello that he'd be recording an album where those guys would be guests, I mean, he'd be nuts, you know?
What? Okay, so I want to know, what does it feel like knowing that you were able to record with some of your idols that you've been listening to for so long?
I'll tell you something. When I finish the album, and here are the credits. I mean, you probably won't be able to read them, but that's the list of guests that I have here, right? So,
Wow.
um, when I saw this and I listened to the final product, when you're mixing, I mean, you need to take your mixing cap off before you can listen to the album in full, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to do it, I was like, you know what? Even if this album doesn't go out, I'm already fully satisfied on the result. And if I die tomorrow, this is my legacy. This I can pretty much say I'm happy with this being the portrayal of Kello's bass playing. That the level at which I'm very proud of what this album ended up being. And I want to show you something, because
Please.
this is not really, I mean, lettering here is very small, and until I have my vinyl, I'll be able to read it better. I need my glasses, but I don't know if you'll be able to read this.
Oh, there we go. Dedicated to my main source of inspiration,
But this
Paulina.
line,
Oh,
this line
all the
here.
crew at Parazit, Nata, CRS, Bajo Tres, and the awesome bass communities, Bass Mex, Bass Up Front, Bass Kids, and CT's Bastard Sons. Go!
So you're on my credits and my appreciation list, right? So
Oh,
whenever
my heart.
so whenever I'm able to get one physical copy to you, you'll be able to read that. But I wanted to extend my gratitude to Don, Sunshine, and the crew. Right?
Oh my gosh, that really made my whole. Let me tell you, it's been a rough month, okay, everybody, but it's things like this that make what I'm doing worth it. I mean, it's worth it all the time, anyways, but thank you so much for
No, no,
recognizing that.
no problem. Thank you. And that's the idea, behind. I'm saying this is the anthology of KU, because in a way I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all the bands, all the fans, all the people, you guys, everyone that's just there. I mean, whoever just wants to lend an ear, I mean, just say hello, just say I like this, all the plays you get. That's why we do this, right? I mean, in the end, the album, I did it to satisfy a need that I had. And when I finished the album, I'm like, this is I'm proud of it. But once it's out, it's no longer mine. It's the
The
world's.
world.
And I share it with everyone that wants to listen to something like this, right? So
Yeah.
that's what's about, I guess.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely amazing. I did drop for everybody at home. Thank you so much. We're live on my personal page, Sunshine Cantu. We're live and the Bass Kids on YouTube and Bass Players United. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions for Gail, please drop them there in the comment section. I'll get to them as soon as possible. Let me start with the first question, Daniel Bayanez. Were there any artists that you wanted to collaborate with that wouldn't work with you? Oh,
No. Well, I was lucky enough for everyone that I invited to say yes. Now, let's think about this. I have 14 guests, right? So the challenge when you're a guest is, I mean, you're within the allowed time that you have, right? So there was one guy that I had to be asking and asking and asking, and never came and was busy enough to say, you know what, I think I won't be able to do it. So that's the only person. But it's not like he denied it or he said, no, you're not. You can't have me. It was more like we tried. We tried and we were not able to, and I appreciate it. So that was one of the songs that I had to finish around January, February, because the guitar recording was delayed. So I got someone else from another song to do guitar on that one, which turned out great, right? In the end, I think things happen for a reason. And the final result of that song, I love it. So I mean, no
And
one, no one, no one denied it. It was more of a scheduling conflict, I guess. But
and now whoever that guy was is really rethinking his decision on that. You know what I'm
I
saying?
I hope so. No.
Let me look at
No.
everybody who's here really quick. We got James Rustad in the house. We got James Gooding, Jordan Branch. We got Mama Cantu. We got my amazing secretary, Don McDaniel, down in the basement. We got Jorge Aragon. We got Omar Jimenez, Paul Tar from Colorado, Jeff Pliskin from New York, Daniel Bayanez. Thank you guys all for hanging out with us. Welcome, Bass Up Front, Bass Mex, Sunshine and the Bass Kids. You guys are all amazing. We're having such a good time right now. So, Gail, for the people who have thought about doing something like this, can you give us some sort of like a what is it called? Like a sketch, like a rough draft. Like what does it take to pursue such a mighty project as this? I mean, obviously 20 years experience,
Well,
more 40.
it's a little bit more, but I mean, I narrow it down on the last 23. The reality, I started playing in '92, so it's been 32 years, I guess now. Um, but I mean, the riffs and the ideas and the song and maturity, and I guess it was just mostly the last 23 years. And um, something that I think is very important is I have a lot of friends that have been working on solo albums, and I know that solo albums, most of the songs are done from 10 years ago. I've done session work for friends for their solo albums, and those haven't come out. I mean, they've been stored away for 10 years now, and I'm like, I think if you're going to do something like this, you need to focus and get it done and release it. Otherwise, you're gonna overthink it. You're gonna just keep it there, and it's never gonna come out. You know, um, for me, on most since I started being on a band, for me the creative muscle has always been exercised, and I think that's the first thing. You need to let your mind and your soul work together and be enabled to whatever you're listening within your head to be able to materialize it or through your instrument, in our case bass guitar. And that's something that I've always done. That's why I have a lot of ideas, riffs and songs, and obviously most of them are bass driven, you know but I've learned to play a lot with the options of how you compose a song. But in this case, I mean, obviously, all the songs start with me. I mean, all the ideas come from Keio. I mean, come from my base, and this is basically a compendium of the different styles and songs and bands and techniques and sounds and everything that I've learned. And I mean, when you were listening to the songs, you probably noticed that there's a difference in intention. There's a difference in feeling. There's a difference in the whole atmosphere of the song, and that was on purpose because it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
I wanted the journey to be portrayed in a way that you can sense that it's not an album that has a one style or one genre. I mean, it's a journey. And Aldo is my greatest companion on the great endeavor of mixing this album. So I have a lot of gratitude, appreciation and respect for Aldo. Right. So
Aldo in the
kudos,
house.
kudos to Aldo. Um,
Awesome.
I think if anyone just has the idea to do something like this, just do it. Just do it. Don't wait about it. Don't sleep. I mean, don't sleep on it. Just do it. You know. In my case, I wanted it to be this way, right? Collaborative. I wanted it to be. I think again, some things just happen to be the way they were. And if I were to think a lot about it, I probably wouldn't have done it as good as it turned out to be. I think it was the right time to do it. I think that's in essence what happened, I guess, right?
Absolutely. And I feel like sometimes the hardest part is just starting. And then once you start, sometimes you just go with the flow. It's just having enough courage to start the project and quit like overthinking and worrying, right?
That's
Do
right.
you agree?
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
because again, I started just pondering the idea during lockdown. So, and that was around 2020. 2020 up through it was 3 years. 3 years you're thinking about doing it until I said, you know what, I'll do it. And once I said that and I put my mind into it, it, it started flowing. Just, I mean, I actually had to put put the brakes because I was going to end up with a double album. But I
Oh,
was like, no, it's just going to be this. Otherwise, I'll never end. And I don't want this to be the never ending recordings of a solo album that never come out. I want this to be very focused and very, and keep, and even keep me wanting for more. And I always tell everyone, because they tell me, what about another one? And I'm like, you know what? Doing this is like your first tattoo, you know? You're
which is
always,
what?
which is you overthink it.
Yes.
You're like, I don't know if I wanted to. I don't know what I want to get tattooed. And once you do it, you're like, now I know what gonna. I mean, you never stop, and
That's what I was gonna say. You're
you never
addicted after
stop.
that. You don't ever stop.
Then you run out of skin. You know. So I mean, I finish this, and I'm like already thinking about the next one. I think
Good.
I'll do another one.
That is
Just
awesome.
so it's anyone wanting to do one should just get it done.
I
Just
love
get it
that.
done. And the world needs more bass driven albums, more bass solos, and um more of that.
More bass. Always more
More bass.
bass. Okay, let's see. Question from Jorge Ocampo Jr. Aragon. What was one song on the new CD that you found challenging?
Well, the different songs had different challenges, and I think um the most challenging song. mm, uh, the, the thing is, the reality is that the bass on the songs was the easy part because I already kind of had that mapped out, and I think that the complexity of it was before just getting it done. Because what happened is, and I'll explain that because I'm thinking about the different scenarios. I have 2 or 3 songs in the album that are comprised of riffs from
Okay.
different years, right? One from 2006, another one from 2001, and you probably experienced this. You're working on a song, you have a great riff. This is one of the greatest riffs I've ever come up with, but that's all you can do. I mean, you cannot get it anywhere. It doesn't get anywhere, and that's what happened to those riffs. So there's a song here that I think it's song number 2. It's called Comeback. That riff's been with me since 2006, and I remember coming up with that main riff, and I'm like, this is a great riff, but whatever I tried never took me anywhere. And when I decided to do this album, and I said that riff's got to be there, I took that riff, and at that moment, I knew what to do with it. You know, so it seems that when I kind of meant my mental or my state of mind when I decided to do it kind of allowed me to get those ideas to where they needed to go.
Okay.
So the
So
reality is that there was no complexity on my end. The complexity was mixing the album. That was the complexity. Getting it to sound like an album.
so because everybody was sending in like tracks from all over, right? So they're all
Yes.
using different audio, recording equipment. So
Different players.
were you in the studio with Aldo mixing and mastering with him?
Yes, we
Okay.
were next to each other for throughout all the mixing and mastering process, right?
Okay.
So I mean, obviously picking his brain in regards to let's do this, let's do that. How do we get this to sound better? Um, and he has a lot of experience, right? So um, I think that helped a lot, and he's very familiar with my sound, so that helped to make sure that I mean, once we had drums and bass pretty much set, the rest was easy, you know.
Um, so for album number 2, or not number 2, but I guess like yeah, the follow-up number 2 album, will you do the same process? Do you think?
I don't know. I probably will, but the 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 funny thing about a solo album is until you do one, you realize you're on your own because it's your name on it, right? So you're the one in charge of promoting it, making sure it comes out, making sure it's on platforms, making sure people listen to it. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than being on a band and releasing an album. So that's the first thing. I mean, I want to do it, but I want to think how I do it, right? Um, there's many scenarios that I've thought about, and one of the things that I'm doing right now is um, I want to take this on the road, and I want to play it live.
Oh.
At least 2 3 times, right? And from then on, we'll see what's next, right? But at least get to that point. I cannot be on the road with 14 musicians. That's bad. I'd either go nuts, broke, I don't know,
Or both.
or both. So what I'm thinking about is probably coming up with a based band.
Mhm.
A drummer, guitar player, get the songs sounding as they should sound live, and uh, I'll see what happens next. I already have a lot. I mean, again, I didn't use all the ideas that I had, so I have a lot more songs, and not all the song ideas were already on my folder per se, right? I
Okay.
mean, a lot of them came up just plain. Oh, I'll use this, and then I created a song with that, right? So there's probably at least two song ideas or three song ideas that came up new, fresh for the album.
Like
Uh,
evolved from what you had like started with.
some did that way. The other ones were things that I was playing with, and I just decided to use them and create a song with that for this album, right? But so I have a lot of ideas. I may do something similar or mix it up. Something I've always wanted to do is I have a lot of great bass players that I admire, and I'm not shy at coming up with two bass songs, right? Or dual bass songs. So
Oh,
I
yes.
may do something like that. I may do a dueling bass album. I don't know. I need to think about what I'll do. But ideas. I'm the good thing about it is that there's never a shortage of ideas, which I appreciate and give thanks for.
Yeah, that well said. Absolutely. Sometimes we can get overwhelmed, but I think it's a blessing to have many, many
That's right.
ideas.
Yes,
It's just narrowing it down.
and
Okay,
having time and the time to sit down and get them in order.
exactly. All right, we got another question from Daniel Bayonet. Thank you for giving all the good questions tonight. What styles of music have influenced your writing that surprised you?
Um, I like. Well, I have my safe spot in regards to genres or bass players or music that I go to or gravitate towards. Right. I guess my baseline is metal. Right. I love metal music. I love progressive music. I love funk music. So what I try to do with my songs, and you probably, I don't know if you got a glimpse of that when you listen to my album, but I know I want it to be heavy. I know I want it to have probably bits of complexity or winks of complexity, as we would say in Mexico, you know. But it needs to groove, right? So that's basically what I like to do is I like to make the complex sound simple. That's another challenge that I like to do, and vice versa, right? Make the simple sound complex. That's a nice exercise. And the reality is, as I grow older, I gravitate towards simplicity more than complexity, right? So I enjoy making simple things sound complex, right? It's like either through the mechanics of it or through the way of how you compose the arrangements.
Hmm.
And something that I like to do, and probably more than styles of music, something that I like to do is take phrasings or sounds or lines from other instruments and migrate them to bass. And it's an interesting exercise because, for instance, if you listen to a tuba,
We
right, with
loved we loved the tuba here on the
it,
Sunshine Show.
right with slide, and I mean, take that to a fretless, and it'll sound very interesting. And the phrasing's different. The same with sax. The same with a violin. I love cello. So the cello lines taken to a bass playing environment. So things like that are interesting challenge because it's gonna rain. Um,
Was
did you
that
hear
thunder?
that was a thunder? Yes.
Dude, a minute ago I was hearing like a fly in my headphones and I was like, where's the fly?
But we welcome rain because we've had record breaking high temperatures. So it's great if it rains. But that's, I think, more than styles is those are the challenges that help take it to a different level. Not the higher level, but a different level, right?
Sure. Hmm. Do you guys hear that fly? I mean, I hear it. I don't know where it's
I
at, but
I don't.
let's see, Jordan Branch. I love you, Jordan. If you guys are not already following Jordan Branch, go follow her. She just released some amazing music and you all need to check it out. She says maybe a bass off with Sunshine in the future. Maybe a collaboration project would be really
I
cool.
think why not? Yeah, that
That
needs to happen. That needs to happen.
That would be a lot of fun. Once again, you guys, we are live on the Sunshine Show with Kello Gonzalez out of Mexico. All right, Kello, Mexico has a rich musical heritage. How has your Mexican background influenced your music and playing style?
That's a great question, and I think the best way to say it is it's not something that I force, because I know there are some musicians that will go deep and kind of do research and try to come up with all this. For me, I think it comes out natural, and there's also hints of it in this album, and they're probably not obvious, and I didn't think about them, and when I hear them, I'm like, I can see where that came from. And the thing is, I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of. I'm from Mazatlan originally, so I mean, banda music there is the biggest thing. Tambora, which is like a polka, like the
Okay.
Mexican polka. So I mean, for me, even though it's not something that I would normally listen to, I mean, I grew up listening to that. You
Sure.
know,
Hmm.
the same for regional Mexican stuff, and a lot of it, one way or another, influences. And let me close the window, otherwise we'll get some rain in. Um, I mean, it finds its way. It's within the subconscious of my musical heritage. So it's there. I don't overthink it. I don't plan it. It just is part of my vocabulary.
Oh, part of my vocabulary. Love that. So you said there's break. How hot is it over there in Mexico right now?
How what?
How hot is it?
Well, in Guadalajara, I mean, I remember back in the day when I was little, I would come to Guadalajara during the summer, and I remember wearing a jacket, and it always been raining. Now I mean, we've gotten highs of 39 Celsius during the day,
Okay.
which should be
What's
like
that in Fahrenheit?
it's close to 95, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh
Yeah.
no, 39 is 102 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh,
Dude, that's like how hot it is in Texas right now.
yeah. So and I well, big cities cutting down trees. I mean, that'll happen, right? And but hopefully, I mean, it's starting to rain. So once it starts raining in Guadalajara, it cools down. But I mean, this has been a, 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 a very hot May.
Well, hallelujah for the rain. Hallelujah. All
More
right,
than welcome.
next question. You've collaborated with various artists throughout your career. Are there any memorable collaborations or projects that stand out to you? Obviously, minus the most amazing project that you just put out.
Yes, you one of the greatest experience that I had is a great friend of mine, Israel. He's the drummer for Belanova. You
Okay.
probably know Belanova. It's a Mexican pop band.
Okay.
Um, he invited me to play with Akira Yamaoka. You know, for those of you who don't know who Akira Yamaoka is, he's basically the composer for the Silent Hill soundtrack.
Okay. Wow.
Um, and there was a release party of a new video game at E3, and this was back in 2016, I think.
Okay.
So he wanted a group to come up and play some cover songs, and opening up for a cover super group where one of the, I mean, just name a few of the players there. I mean, it was uh my names are eluding me right now, but the guitar player for Nine Inch Nails, the drummer for Queens of the Stone Age, um, I know his last name is Castillo.
Josh is the lead singer for Queens of the Stone Age, I think.
No, no, but
Oh,
the drummer was
yeah,
the
yeah,
one.
the drummer. Got you.
I know his last name again is Castillo, and the vocalist was God. I can't believe I forgot the name.
That's okay. I have so drummer Queens of the Stone Age. They actually have gone through a couple of drummers, which I didn't know. But Joey Castillo is the drummer for Queen.
Joey was the drummer that was playing the cover songs there. They had again the guitar player for Nine Inch Nails. They had Blasco was playing bass actually, um, and the late vocalist for Linkin Park, he was singing.
Oh wow! What?
Um, so it was I mean, just playing with Akira was a mind blowing thing. Then opening for them and just being there with them was also kind of cherry on top, right? So that was a great experience. Um, I mean, I've been lucky enough, I think, to play with a lot of great people. Met a lot of, I mean, we're here, so I mean, meeting a lot of great people. this last NAM was amazing. I got to meet face to face a lot of people as well. So I mean, bass has taken me to a lot of different places where I would have never thought of. Met a lot of great people that I'm just grateful about. And I guess doing things like this is just a way of expressing and giving some gratitude back, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. KO, the superstar over here. Everybody is like Chester Bennington.
Chester.
That yeah, awesome. All right, we got a question from Jeff Pliskin of Raised Fist Propaganda. What do you like better, regular 5, 6 string bass? Do you have a preference?
I do have a preference, and I'll tell you what the history was. I started on 4 strings, but 2 hours into my bass playing journey, I got my first 6 string, and I only played 6 strings for like 8 or 9 years, right? So that was it. Only six strings. Now I was on two bass players band, so having a 6 string, I was like a second guitar player playing bass, right? So it was interesting because I would do chords and solos, and the other bass player would do more of a foundation, and I was very happy with it. But then someone lent me a 4 string. I think it was a BC Rich, an '80s BC Rich, great bass player, and it would play very nice. And I remember playing those 4 strings after 9 years, and I was like, "Whoa! I can do all these things, and I can feel." I mean, it was like butter, you know. I mean, after playing only 6 strings, I was like, you know what? I think I'll go back and get another 4 string.
Oh wow.
And little by little, I started. I mean, the scale started tipping to the 4 string again. So when I realized it, I was back on 4 strings, after being only on 6 strings for so long. And so now, I mean, my weapon of choice is 4 strings.
Wait, so tell me again how I mean, because you would I would think at least like with the low B and the high C, I mean, if that's how you tuned your bass,
Yes.
that gives you a lot more like range. So then going back to a 4 string, doesn't that take away a lot of what previously you were working with?
It does, but I was able to transpose some of that. And the thing is, or something that at least from the lowest perspective, something that helped was that a lot of our songs were drop D, right? So I had a lower 4 string. Some of the solos could be a challenge, but the reality is that after only playing 6 strings, going to a 4 string gave me a lot more liberty how to navigate the neck, right? And during lockdown, I fell in love with 6 strings again because I kind of neglected it for a
Yeah.
while. I mean, I play it from time to time, but it's not like the thing is I got a Carl Thompson 6 string fretless. So when I got that one, I was like, I better play this more, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so on my album, that's the one I play on one of the songs. The fretless bass on that, I think, is song number 4. Um, is that Carl Thompson Rainbow 6 string fretless,
Ooh.
which sounds great. It's an amazing work of art, and it sounds great. And it's one of those instruments that just inspires you. I mean, you play it, inspires something new every time you play it.
And so how many different basses did you actually use on the album?
I think I used um, like 7 bases, I think.
Wow, that's awesome.
Seven. I mean, most of them are Carl Thompsons, but I did use a Wall MK1, no MK2. I did use one of the songs has two basses, and one of the basses is the Warwick Thumb six string actually, and the other
Wow.
bass is one of the that jazz bass 78 that I have there.
Wow.
Um, I used a Zahn Sonus on one of the songs that I needed a funky song, so I mean that one had to buy for it. And what happened, and because a lot of people have asked, how do you select which bass you use for which song? What happens most of the time is I use to record the song with the bass that inspired that riff or that song, because
Oh,
that's kind of like the creative process. I mean I have different bases because different bases will inspire different things out of me, or will even make me play different. A Carl Thompson with a tremolo will make me play some stuff, but if I take a jazz bass, I'll play different. And if I take the six string fretless, something different will come out. So it's part of the process of mixing it up, getting different inspiration out of different things, and in this case, different instruments. Um, for the riffs that were really, really, I mean, I didn't have those basses when those riffs at least came out. It was more a matter of where do they sound better. And I think at this time I can kind of tell already which bases will give me the results that I want. Right. So that's
sure. Yeah.
that's kind of how it works.
Well, you took the question right out of my mouth because that's exactly exactly what I was about to ask you next. We have David Pastoris in the chat, the late great Jocko Pastoris' nephew.
Hello, David.
David will be on the show next Tuesday, June the 4th. So you guys come back to hang out. David's been on the show probably about 4 times by now. So I'm excited to catch up with him. And then we also have my favorite,
Omar.
Omar Jimenez in the house, my favorite. Saludos y slaps, Master Kello. I'm pretty sure Omar is how I met you.
That's right. We can thank Omar for this.
I love Omar. He is one of my favorite people in the entire world.
He's a great guy, great bass player as well.
And I actually got to interview Omar once on the show as well. If you guys, I have a whole back catalog on Anchor FM. I'll drop the link in the comments if you guys want to go back and listen to any of my older podcasts. And Kello, actually, this is his second time on the show. So the first time we had a blast as well. So I'll definitely post that link for you guys. Let's see, who do we got here? Oh, we didn't get the message. You'll have to re-put the message, Pavel. Yeah, you guys, thank you all for hanging out with me and Kello on the Sunshine Show. Thank you, Bass Players United, Sunshine and the Bass Kids, everybody watching at home. You could be anywhere in the world and you're here with us right now. We absolutely appreciate it. Let's see really quick what's going on here. All right, we're gonna start wrapping this up in about 15 minutes. If you guys have any last minute questions, comments, suggestions, drop them there in the comment section and I will get to them as soon as possible. All right, let's see. I want to talk a little bit about the artwork on this album because I really like it.
So I've been working with an artist from India.
Oh.
So he goes by the name of Visual Amnesia. His name is Ruben, and he's done great artwork for a lot of different bands. I know he's done stuff for Monuments, for Ginger, and a lot of different great bands. And he's very creative, and he does. I mean, everything's done by hand. I mean, this is all sketched and then digitalized and finished, right? So, and what I like about working with Ruben is that you just give him an idea, right? I told him this is what I have on my mind. This is what the album's about, right? This is my journey, and the way that I foresee. I mean, the name of it is Above, the Great Beyond Below, right? Which, for me, what it translates to is it's a journey, and sometimes things are bright, sometimes things are dark, and sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So I wanted this to be one of those images that kind of like a yin yang, or things like complement each other. And I told him this is my journey as a bass player, and started going deep through that rabbit hole of spirituality and what it means to me. And he went and run with it and came up with a justification and aligned it to different theories, and he's just a great guy, and more importantly, what he came up with is great. I mean, and he did his homework, because I mean, if you look deep into the artwork, you'll see two bases with the wizards, right? One of them, the one below, is a Rickenbacker,
Oh, yes. Bring 'em on her.
and the other one's a hint of a Carl Thompson. So for me, I didn't tell him that, you know, and as we were talking, my first bass hero was Cliff Burton. He was playing a Rickenbacker,
Yeah.
and for me, the I guess the Carl Thompson branch, that's my more modern KO go-to acts, um, and the one that inspires me to do a lot of stuff. So I mean, so that kind of yin yang of basis. I mean, he did that on his own, just doing the research and kind of coming up with a KO anthology artwork. It's very interesting, and I love that. And again, I cannot thank Ruben for the love and dedication he put on the artwork. So
Absolutely. Will you be releasing any vinyl or is it strictly CD?
vinyl will be ready early July.
I
And,
am buying me one of those. I'm telling you right now. I got my record
thank you.
player right back here.
And I'm doing a limited edition for the first run, and I'll see how that goes. Right, one of those transparent splatter black thingies. So it'll be interesting. You know what? I'm excited because that's my first vinyl. I mean, I've done a lot of CDs, but this is my first vinyl.
That's so exciting. Do you see how
Yes,
excited I am for
man.
you? Like, this is
And
awesome.
you know what's a funny thing? I don't have a turntable. I don't have a place to put
What?
vinyl yet. I'll have to get one just to, and the first vinyl that I'll listen to it in it will be mine.
Oh my God, goals right there, everybody at home. Those are goals right there. Kale, I'm so proud of you. You're an inspiration to me
Thank
and
you.
so many other people. And just thank you for taking your time with me and being so kind. And it's been a journey to get here right now today on this podcast together. Okay,
Yes, and
everybody.
even today with the time zones and
Oh my goodness, it's too much, but I love it. Always a good time here with you. All right, one more question. Let's see what we got here. Advice. We love this question. What advice would you give to aspiring bass players, particularly those looking to establish themselves in the music industry?
that's a great question. The first thing is be loyal to your beliefs, right? Because right now, a lot of people will tell you need to play this genre, you need to sound, or you need to look like this to make it. And the reality is that there's no formula for it. I mean, you can play whatever's hip in the radio, and that doesn't guarantee that nothing will happen. So, my advice is be happy playing the music that inspires you. Do what actually drives you, and that I think will get you far, because I mean, people they're not dumb. They'll read through it if they know you're faking it. And if you're real, and if you're honest like this, right? I mean, I was impressed at how many people connect with this album, and I think the main reason for it's because I could not been so. I mean, it's as honest as I could be in regards to what I like and what I do, and what I wanted to convey. So be happy doing what inspires you, what drives you, and it'll get you far. Right? That's the first thing. And the second one is come up with your own voice. Right? Don't try to. I mean, it's okay if you have your inspiration, but let's make it more than one. Let's make it 100 different sounds, bass players, instruments, albums, songs, and put them on a blender and make that be your voice, right? Make that be your voice. Come up with your own spin or on whatever you think bass playing should be, on whatever you think a band should be, and run with it and be happy doing what you like to do instead of what you think will get you far and will make you famous. Because I mean, you much rather enjoy the process than suffer through it, then nothing will happen and you ended up playing something you don't like and you're one in a million doing things you don't like. I much rather be one in a million doing what I enjoy than suffering through the process and not getting anywhere.
And how does one set themselves apart from other bass players in, a saturated market?
I think being unique is a good way to do it because right now part of the saturation is there's a lot of clones of everyone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different. I mean, it's not only in the bass player community; it's in anything, right? I mean, and I think it's aligned to the message, right? I mean, they see something that sticks and people run with it, and they want to copy it just to try and get something out of it. And the reality is that you won't be set apart doing that. I mean, you need to put some mind and thought and effort into it to come up with the voice, come up with the personality that will make you stand out from the rest. And as you mentioned, it's a really big crowd. So if
Yeah.
you want to stand out in that big crowd, you need to be different. You need to be unique and you need to be honest. Again, that honesty, I think, is one of the key things. Because if you're not true to what you're doing, even if you're great to faking it, people won't buy it. People, they're not dumb again. They won't buy it if you're faking it. Be honest, be unique, enjoy the process, and you'll get far.
And I'll add to that, trust the process too.
Right? Yeah, try, because it's very important. Even my, I mean, it's this is a like a roller coaster ride, right? I mean, sometimes we feel so motivated, and sometimes I'll wake up and I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I mean, I just released an album, but I don't feel like I'm doing anything. And next day I'll be the happiest guy ever, saying, you know what? Now this happened. I'll have a vinyl, and then so it's we need to understand that the process of being a musician it's complicated.
Uh,
It's complicated.
Much like your album cover, as above, so below. Life is, we're always going to have the ups and downs, and it's truly, there's always going
The
to be
process,
something, yeah, it's going to be something coming at us, and we just have to be able to like realize that we are truly blessed, even with the problems and the hardships that
right?
come our way.
And be grounded. It always helps to be surrounded by people that'll help you see your true self, right? Because otherwise, if you're not grounded, I mean, things will go nuts, right? So, and even then, the ups and downs. I mean, that's when it helps. The grounding helps with that. You know.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys, I have pinned KO's all of his socials on the top of the comment section. You guys make sure to go follow him on YouTube, go follow all the socials, go follow the Spotify, go get the album. We have a question here. Where did it go? Here we go. KB Toe. So I don't want to butcher that.
Cabeto. It's Cabeto.
Cabeto. There we go. What do you think about corridos, tumbados, bass licks?
I love how it brings bass to the front, and the corridos tumbados is basically the new trend in basically like peso pluma, right? The peso pluma type
Yes.
music and all that. I mean, that's
Mhm.
been something that brings a lot of musicality to those music styles. And I mean, I love what they do. Is they're basically it's a weird slap on I think mostly acoustic basses, you
Oh,
know.
okay. Hmm.
But it's like a country type slapping. It's very interesting, and I love because what they're doing is they're evolving the genre, they're evolving the instrument, taking from other things and then mix them in. And that's what it is. I mean, it's a unique take on a common sound or music. You know, I like it. I mean, I I would like to see how that evolves. That's the interesting thing here, and how that probably permeates to other styles of music. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. You guys, we're gonna start wrapping this up. If you have any last minute questions, this is your time to put them in the comment section. If not, don't say I did not ask you. All right. So this is a challenging question, maybe, maybe not.
Okay.
But you can answer this for me. How do you balance the technical aspects of bass playing with expressing yourself creatively in your music?
I think the important piece there is to not overthink it, you
Okay.
know, because when you put too much thought into it, then you remove the emotion, and if you only focus on the technical aspect, then the emotion, you may lose the moment, you know.
Got you.
And for instance, something that happened in one of the songs that I was recording is I was tracking a piece, and I let it run, and I started just noodling around and came up with a lick that ended up being kind of like a small bass solo that wasn't really going to be a bass solo, but I started noodling it, and I listened back and I'm like, that sounds pretty good, and I kept it. I tried to redo it with a better phrasing, or what I would say more technically clean.
Sure.
But when I did that, it lost the mojo, you know. And I was like, I'll keep the original one, you know, because I mean it's not technically perfect, but it has something.
The feeling was
The,
there, the
the
intention.
feelings there. So it's very important, and something again I've been very conscious about the sound, the bass tone, the I want my bass to be able to sing. I mean, I cannot sing, so I sing through my bass. So I like to mix the emotion with the with the melody, with the, I guess, melodic aspect of bass. So that's one of the challenges that I enjoy, you know, making sure that I can sing through my bass. And going back, I guess, to some of the initial questions, I think that's the challenge, you know, because especially when you're young, you want to play as many notes as you want or as you can,
Sure.
and make it be like a shred fest.
Yeah.
And this album for me was the opposite. For me, it was really that's what I meant about the songs. I didn't want this to be a solo album trying to tell everyone this is what I mean. I'm really past beyond trying to convey the message that I'm a technically good bass player. I wanted to convey the message of this is a bass player having fun with my friends and idols, coming up with good songs that are fun to play. And there's a lot of bass solos, but the bass solos are not complex. Are not? I mean, they have their hints of things, but they're not shred fest just because I can do it. It's more of a let's see what this song needs, and I'll do that. You know, and try to mix it up again, having them be songs that stand for themselves, not be a portrayal of what I can technically do. It's more of a song that makes sense, where the bass player can be heard.
The bass player always needs to be heard. I always say this. I think
Yes,
one of my friends told me nobody ever notices the bass until they mess up.
that's right. And even if when we mess up, what was happening there is we're playing with the harmony. I mean, we're playing with shifting tones and shifting scales, and we'll see what happens. But um, it's all about having fun.
Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Omar Jimenez is saying amazing album. Everyone go buy it and listen to it. So how can we buy this album? Where do we go?
Um, well, it's a small business, so so I mean, I invite everyone to go and listen it to their favorite platform streaming service, right? I mean, it should be there. If anyone wants to get a hold of a physical CD or a coming soon vinyl, send me a message through either my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, whatever you have me. Send me a message and we'll figure it out, right? I'm in Mexico, but I can come up with a way to get things shipped anywhere. So if anyone's interested on the physical copy, if not, I mean, enjoy the album online, listen to it, and get back and tell me which your favorite song is, what you enjoyed about the album. I love to hear that.
And do you have merch that we can buy?
I have merch. I also have shirts. And you know, it's funny because now that you mention it, you know, I've never played with a pick. You know, and when I was young and naive, I had a something about bass players playing with a pick, but
Oh, you got your own picks now.
I got my own set of picks. You know.
Oh, that is oh, with the artwork. What artwork is that?
Yeah, it's the
Oh, the album cover.
the album cover. Yeah.
Oh, that is
So
awesome.
so for some random physical copies, I'll probably sneak some of these. And you know
That is
what? I
cool.
I I came up with the picks, and they a lot of people ask me, but you don't play with the pick, and I'm like, yes, but I cannot ship a finger. Not ship a pick. You know.
Oh man, heck yeah. And small, simple, a lot cheaper than throwing out a t-shirt or whatever. Let's
Yeah.
see here. Eric Alonso Estrada Valencia. Hello, Kello. I will send a message via Facebook to get both saludos.
Gracias, Eric.
Is that a good friend of yours?
That's a good friend of mine. Yes.
Thank you guys all for hanging out with us. We're going to start wrapping this up. Gail, I'm going to let you end this however you'd like to, whatever you want to promote, talk about. Anything else?
Well, I guess the main thing we're promoting now is my album, right? But I also just released several different albums, right? So I have a band called Nata, and we released an album that was like 4 years in the making. I mean, we had a lockdown that kind of changed our creative process, and the band's called Nata, and I'll probably post the link later on so you can listen to that album. That's more of a hard rock four band, I mean, vocals, guitar, bass, drums. I love that album because it's more of a straight hard rock, you know. And the interesting thing there, I can use different caps, and I don't know if we talked about this quote, which I love. It's a Les Claypool quote, because I have three bands plus my solo stuff, and I'll do a lot of session work. So whoever needs bass for their songs, you can also send me a message and we'll figure it out. But someone I remember at one of the Primus concerts, I was in one of the VIPs Q&As, and someone asked Les, how do you get to sound different or even compose different when you're playing with Primus versus when you're playing with Lennon and when you're playing with different people, with Trey Anastasia, with Oysterhead, and I mean, and he
He
was
does
saying,
the Bastard Jazz, and he also has Les Claypool's Fancy Band too.
so he has a lot of stuff, and he comes up with different things, and it's less, but it's the vocabulary changes. So he was saying, you know what, you don't talk the same way to your girlfriend than to your mother, to your grandmother, to your boss. So that's how it happens. The way that I talk through my bass with different guitar players, it's a different conversation. it's a different way of expressing without really thinking about it, because you are reacting and having a conversation through your instruments with a different person. So just naturally it comes out.
That's
You
like
know,
mind blowing right there.
it is mind blowing because, for instance, with and I say that because with Nata, it's basically the same drums and the same bass as with Parasite, which is my instrumental progressive trio. And we sound way different. Both of us sound way different in the two bands. And the only difference is the guitar player, how we interact and react to the different guitar player, you know?
That you know, I would have. It's just crazy to me because I never, first of all, would have ever like really thought about that. But yeah,
When when you're put in that scenario, think about it.
how do
Think
I
about
like? How
how
do
you
I play?
react. Yeah, how you
Okay,
react to the different players.
how do I play my bass like when I'm talking to my dog compared to like when I'm talking to my pig or when I'm talking to my guinea pigs? You know, like I'm gonna think about this.
Yeah, think about that.
That's so cool. One last question, Daniel Bayonet, where is your top 3 live performance venues you aspire to perform at, or maybe you've already
Mm.
performed?
No, I mean, I played at great venues. I've been lucky enough as well to play at great venues. But you know what the funny thing is, and I don't know how many people have said this, but I played festivals. I played really big venues, but I enjoy the small venues the most because they're more personal. The
Sure.
energy can be better felt. But if I were to think of, I mean, obviously we all dream of doing a Madison Square Garden or a Red Rocks amphitheater, one of those big things. But I think more because of the history behind them. But if I remember doing a tour in Europe with Parasite, and we did a lot of different venues, and some were small bars, some were festivals, some were mid-sized bars or venues. And but I remember I enjoyed the most the small venues, and even the people in small towns will react different to when you see them play. Because I mean, think about this, right? I remember we played Madrid, we played Berlin, we played Munich, but it was this small town in the middle of nowhere in Poland, in a really small bar. We finished our set, and this really big, tall guy and this big Eastern Europe guy comes in and plants himself in front of me and hugs me and tells me, "Thank you for coming to play for us from
Oh,
all the way back from Mexico. Thank you for traveling that far just to play for us." I mean, the people from big cities like Madrid, Berlin, they see it all. They get Foo Fighters, they get Metallica, they get so they've seen it all. The same happens here in Mexico. I mean, you go to Mexico City. I mean, they have it all. But if you go to those small places, small venues, they are more appreciative of you being there. You know. So for me, I mean, those are the moments that stick with you. I mean, that make it all worth it.
that is like the most, and not even like you're not even doing this purposely, but it just shows how humble you are because you're not thinking about the numbers and the amount of people that are there to watch you. You're thinking about the people and like their response and the fact that like you're able to provide something to them that they don't normally get to
Yeah.
see. And that just
And
makes you the most amazing human ever.
thank you very much. And it goes both ways because that energy comes back. That energy feeds the journey that we're in. You know, we're entertainers, and I mean, at the end of the day, we do this because we need to do this as a musician, as a creative artist, as an emotional set of human beings. We need to do this, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, we're entertaining whoever's in front of us with our music.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Real quick, Scott Weiss of Underground Roots Clothing. It is his birthday. Real quick, happy birthday. Shout out to Scott
Happy birthday.
Weiss. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Scott Weiss. Happy birthday to you. Let's see, Tio Rush. Hey, Sunshine Can too. And Kello Gonzalez. So glad to see you together in this live. Thank you so
Hey,
much for
Teo.
hanging out. All right, I guess we're gonna start wrapping it up, Gayo, unless you have anything else you'd like to talk about, because I'm here till next Tuesday.
Um, no, I mean, unless there's any more questions, right? So, um, it, it's funny how things happen, and in a way, I think for us bass players, it's it's a great community online, and when we meet, it's like, and that happened at NAM. A lot of people that I had seen online, or we had chatted, or and we meet, and it's like we've known each other for like always,
Yeah.
and it's very interesting how something as simple as a wooden piece with metal strings can do that. You know,
Yeah,
it's
for those that don't know what NAM is, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody does, but NAM is a convention, like what, twice a year in LA, where all the like musicians come in to like they have like workshops and like all the like music industry people are there, and like that's where you go to like see all the like it people, like it's really
the new,
cool.
and the new stuff, and the latest and greatest, and lose your hearing for like the next week.
Well, so what are your thoughts on like playing with earplugs? Is that something that you do, or do you do in ears, or are you just like
you,
all
you
the
know,
maxed out?
I rehearse with plugs, um, and live I should use plugs, but I don't know why I don't use them, because it depends. Sometimes I use in ears, sometimes I will use floor monitors, but I've never been in a situation where I've thought that it's too loud on stage. I think that's why I don't use the plugs.
Okay.
Um, but rehearsal, I definitely use, because I'm right next to the drummer, and the chine is right here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I mean, for rehearsal, definitely, right? But for live, it I've never played with plugs. In ears, I've done that, but I haven't felt I mean, I probably need to, but I'm not
Well,
the best example of that.
I will meet you here 20 years from now, and we will rehab this talk, and then we will ask about your hearing and see if
What?
you've changed your mind.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
it'll be a very long conversation.
hold on. There was one other question. Where is it at? In your opinion, what makes a great bass line?
Um, if it's memorable, if you can remember it, and if you can dream about it, and it makes you move, I think that's what a great baseline does, I guess, right? And it makes you feel, move. Um, for me, for me, my inspiration on bass, it's always. I mean, I'm a geek for great bass tone, So whenever I hear a tasty lick that sounds great, that the tone is spot on, that's like cherry on top for me.
So, look, I got to take myself off screen for like 30 seconds. I'll be right back, but I want to leave you with this question really quick. Tell us a little bit about tone and how you find your perfect tone. I'll be
It's perfect tone. I think it's a journey, because you need to come to the realization of what it is that you hear inside your head. I mean, what's your reference for how bass should sound like? That's the first thing. And the second one is realizing it, or making it based on the different variables, right? Strings, the bass, you're playing with through different pedals, or an amp. and the way that you learn that is, I guess, experience going through different iterations of strings and instruments and equipment, and then meeting in the middle, saying, I'm now being able to hear uh, what I hear inside my head. So, I mean, I don't know, Sanchez, if you were able to to get all that, but it's. I was telling them it's basically the journey. It's a journey to get to a good tone, or at least the thing is, good tone. It's on the eye of the beholder, I guess,
Okay.
because great tone for me may not be the same as what you think great tone is. Because a lot of it comes down to our reference.
That's
What's
what I
your
was.
reference? What's your reference for good tone? And I guess your reference for good tone is a mix of the things you enjoy listening to, or enjoy hearing. And a lot of people have the misconception that if they take a picture of the rig of the bass player and then they buy everything that that bass player has and replicate it, they're gonna sound that way. And that's not true, because you are the biggest variable in the chain. You're playing, the way you approach the instrument, the way you hit the string, the way you use that to get sounds out of it.
I mean, even like how hard you press the strings on the fretboard.
That is, I mean, for instance, a lot of people on my videos when I do the cover songs, I'm a nerd on tone. So I'll try to get as close as the original tone as possible. And a lot of times what people will ask me, okay, can you send me a picture of your EQ and your pedal settings and how you connect it and your chain? And I'm like, no, you got it wrong. You need to understand the variables to get there, right? And for instance, for Geddy Lee, I mean, we know Geddy hits hard, and that's how he gets the tone that he gets. Obviously, I don't know if you remember seeing the R40 concerts, right? The last run of concerts Rush did. So Geddy would basically play like 20 different basses on stage,
Oh my gosh,
right?
it's crazy.
No, it is crazy, but the interesting thing there, they all sounded like Geddy. They all
Because
sounded like Geddy because it
wow.
was him playing all those different basses. You know, that's I guess that's the baseline. I mean, you can use different. The way I see using different basses or using different effects, it's like a painter with different colors and different palettes and different styles of painting, water based. That's a difference of using different equipment, but in the end, it's your hand that's giving the personality to what you're playing, right?
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and I think it is true. You look at your favorite bass player, you want to sound just like them. You go and buy that bass, and you plug it in, and then you find out that you don't sound just like them because each and everybody has their own personal tone.
Correct. And in the end, the journey is understanding how different equipment will impact the sound you get through them. And then you realize, okay, this is what I'll use in my puzzle to get the sounds that I want through my channeling of the different things that I do, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how you get to those tones. And the end result everyone should strive for is, if you hear something, to know how with your resources you're able to replicate it, not what they're using, but how with your resources you'll be able to sound that way.
As far
Because
as like tones and amps and guitar and the whole thing.
correct, with your hands, with your equipment, with your basses, I mean, how do you get to sound that way? Well, Federico knows, yeah.
Okay, Daniel Byness has another question. Who's your favorite banda bassline tuba player? For everybody at home that doesn't know, I started off on the tuba and played sousaphone until I graduated high school. Do you have a favorite banda bassline bass tuba player?
I don't. but the thing is, it's not that I don't like the way it sounds. It's I don't know the names of any of them.
Sure, yeah.
Um, but I
But
I re- I recently listened to one guy that was recording something for actually the guitar player for Parasite, and he showed me a video of a tuba player. They didn't have a bass player, so they had a tuba player, and the guy was ripping. I mean, he was doing stuff that I wish I was able to do on bass. On tuba, I imagine his cheeks would be like steel, you know.
there's a guy I follow on Instagram. I'm not sure if he's from Mexico. It might be Italy. I'm not sure, but his name is Dan Jazzy, I believe. And I mean, the stuff he does on stage, I
Yeah,
love to see when tuba's highlighted because it's obviously like a sister instrument, brother instrument to the bass. So when it's
yeah.
highlighted like that, I get really excited. Um, okay. Let's see if we can do this. ¿Cuál es tu legado?
Um,
En español,
do I reply in Spanish?
por favor.
Okay. Um, quiero pensar que mi legado ahorita es esto. Creo que pude reflejar lo que soy como bajista. Kello, el bajista, está, está aquí, ¿no? Esto es mi legado. Y al final, si esto, lo que yo he hecho, inspira a alguien a tocar el bajo, creo que ese sería mi perfecto legado, ¿no? Que alguien decida retomar o decida tomar, empezar, hacer un disco solista, hacer más música, tocar en vivo. De eso se trata, inspirar a gente que después nos va a inspirar a nosotros de vuelta.
We love you, Gail.
Gracias, Sunshine.
It's been such an amazing time with you tonight. It's always such an amazing time with you. Everybody at home, please, like I said once again, go follow this man on all the socials. He really puts in so much time and effort, is such a humble, kind human being. Go buy the merch. Go get the vinyl when it comes out. It is well worth it. Go stream it on Spotify too. I'm telling you, this album is next level. It's really cool. It's like a journey from start to finish. All right. So are we ready to wrap this up? And we'll do round 2 in a couple of months? Or
Yeah.
round 3.
Round 3, actually, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I love you guys all so much. Thank you, Bass Players United, Sunshine and the Bass Kids, everybody at home. We couldn't do this
Thank you, everyone.
Without you. Make sure to be kind, you guys. You never know what people are going through. Don't drink and drive. Feel blessed, feel happy, feel grateful, and keep tuning into the podcast. And we'll see you on let's see, tomorrow I'm interviewing Christopher Simpkins of the Simpkins Project, and then we got David Pastores June 4th. Thank you all. You ready to get out of here, Gayo?
I'm ready.
All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bye-bye.